it's a Jesuit organisation that works with young adults, 18 to 35-year-olds, and the name Shliela comes from the Irish language and it means another way. The name Another Way gives us an expression for how we live out the programs that we run. It's about giving young people an opportunity to explore their faith, another way of exploring their faith. And it's very much from within the church, so it's not being a different way and being another type of movement or another type of church. It's about being very much part of Christian tradition, being part of Catholic tradition, and respecting the culture and respecting the values of Catholicism and Christianity, but giving another way to experience and to explore how we can live out their faith. It's about people identifying with what is spirituality, what is faith. And we do that through a whole range of different programs to give people a sense of, well, my faith can be expressed, yes, through Mass or through sacramental liturgies, but also through reaching out to help the homeless people, or working maybe in prisons, or working internationally in different communities abroad. So it's about giving expression to your faith in different ways and in another way. I mean, we have some programs like Gospel Choir Masses, which are modelled around the institutional sacrament of the liturgy of Mass. So it's bringing people into an experience of Mass, but a Mass in a very different way, in a very creative and engaging way. But other programs are very much about giving people an expression of how can they live faith and how can they live that without necessarily the traditional let's go to Mass every Sunday, or it's Hail Marys or Our Fathers. It's about, faith and spirituality can become alive and become part of every day. Being part of a community is very important for young adults, and I just noted a quote that we got recently from a young adult, that being part of Shliela is like being part of a community in a big city. So it is the sense of having a social networking, having a group of people where you can come together, and often after our programs you get this social environment where people are going off to the pub together and just having the informal conversations around faith and around how they engage with society and with themselves.
Spirituality for me is about how you give expression to what you know about God in your life. So it's a real integration of that into the way you live your life. And I suppose, we spend so much time in life as we grow up trying to develop ourselves intellectually and try to keep in shape physically, and in all sorts of ways. And sometimes I think the spiritual development is the one that maybe gets neglected. So if I think back on my own experience, I would have received a certain amount of formation through primary and secondary school. But then really when you leave secondary school, you're sort of left to your own devices. And it's left really to the extent to which you can engage or not with the Sunday Mass. And I think a lot more is needed than that. And sometimes maybe people don't realise it. And then I feel, young people like myself as well, that if they have a difficulty for whatever reason engaging with the Sunday Mass, it can lead to feelings of guilt as well, and sort of say, well, this isn't for me, or I'm not a good Christian or Catholic because I don't get the Mass, and I think that's dangerous and it's not healthy. And I suppose in Shliela we're trying to encourage people, look, we all have a spirituality, we all have the Spirit of God, the essence of God in us, and it's about developing that, getting in tune with that. And we try to provide a range of activities and programs that people can tap into to help them to grow in their spiritual selves. In Shliela we're trying to open that whole area to people of what is good and unique about Catholic spirituality, Christian spirituality, and then invite them to go and look and explore for themselves, so we can bring them into the Ignatian spirituality, and then hoping that they'll ask the question of, well, okay, this is the Ignatian, when the Franciscans are there, what are they about, or the Dominicans or Carmelites, whatever it might be, and for me the Ignatian spirituality really is central to my life, because it's all about finding God in all things, finding God in the messiness of your life, in the day-to-day realities of your life. And that's really powerful, because I think what most of us probably struggle with is how to integrate your life with your spirituality, or your spirituality with your life. that sometimes you can go along through the day and then the token sort of 5-minute prayer in the evening sort of thing, when what's really required is that the integration of the two. We're part of a wider church, and we recognise that relationship with God and with Jesus and with your faith is a very personal thing, and no two people's experiences are the same, just like no two people's lives are the same, you know. So we're open to taking people wherever they're at and trying to point them in different directions and encourage them to grow in their spirituality, in their faith.
Well, I got involved with Schliella when I was in third year university, and I got on board with the South Africa Challenge project, which is, the idea is to bring Leaving Cert students from the Jesuit schools around Ireland in small groups out to South Africa and get them involved with construction projects out there, on a youth basis and involving the kids out there. So you're talking primarily schools and feeding centres for HIV/AIDS orphans. I suppose I went out in a capacity when I was a little bit older than the average volunteer would have been 18 years of age, and myself and a few of my friends went from school, and they asked us to go just in a kind of slightly older capacity and a little bit more experience under our belts. And that was back in 2007, but I think the greatest thing for me was the fact that I went back the following year, and then I also went back last year in 2009. I mean, there's a huge cultural learning and understanding that goes on, because it's so different in South Africa. And South Africa itself isn't a poor country, but it's a terribly unequal country. So I mean, there was great exposure to that and understanding the different problems in South Africa that are unique to South Africa that create the problems there. And then I learned on a personal level as well. I mean, these kind of things, they challenge you to think, why are certain things like this, and why have we got it so much better? On an interpersonal level, it was fantastic to be out there, with the other volunteers, mingling with them, seeing how guys and girls dealt with it, seeing, it was amazing seeing people who you might not prejudice, but you might think that they would have the skills that you'd expect on a building site. I mean, plenty of the girls put the guys to shame with what they were able to do. But I think what's different about the Schliella projects, and I think what really gives it credibility, is there's a constant presence down on the ground in South Africa throughout the year with the Bishop of Kokstad, the local diocese. He's actually a very good man from Tipperary, and one of the local parish priests, he was an Irishman as well. For me, there is a very strong faith dimension. It's probably bad to say, but I'm at that age where you might be a bit transient in how you see things, and especially having come from a Jesuit school where there was a really great emphasis on faith. Never forced down your throat, but it really challenged you to search for it. But then after 3 years in university, your mass attendance starts going down, and different things in life take priority and so on. But I think the opportunity to go to South Africa with a Jesuit organisation like Schliella really, for me, got me questioning and asking myself questions. I got out of this mode of asking other people questions and forcing them to explain to me. It really opens up your desire to question yourself.